is poppin', fight fans, and welcome to the first episode of the Mystic Hour of 2022. And who else could I get on this show right here than the bully himself? He is not lost in 2 years. He's ranked in the top five, number five of the UFC welterweight division. Of course, he just beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson back in December. He's a former Titan FC welterweight champion. Don't forget to give this man his accolades. Of course, the host of Remember the Show, my man, remember the name, Belal Muhammad. What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? Appreciate that intro right there. That was a good one.
Absolutely, man. And you deserve it, of course. And I love to, start my show off with the most important questions. And we need to know, did you get Derrick Lewis on the show? Is it official? Is it happening?
Literally, like I'm like, bro, I've just messaged you 25 times. You responded, I responded right back, and then he stopped responding again. I was like, but we're close. I'm like, I got a response out of him, so we're close. So and then funny too, because I messaged Ty to Avasa and he responded, but he's like in Dubai right now, so like his
uh,
time is all like messed up. So he's like, yeah, when I get to the States, I'll hop on your show for sure. And I was like, all right, cool. So it's like, all
man,
right, I got Ty coming on soon. I just need Derrick Lewis to freaking man up. But I got somebody trying to give me his number, so we're close. We're gonna get there.
that's awesome. Hey, I know his manager. He lives down here in Miami. So if I can, nudge and put in some words in there, I got you. But
My brother.
Bilal, coming off that Stephen Thompson fight, which was probably the biggest win of your career, what was the most important thing you learned in that fight coming out of it?
Coming out of that fight is most important thing is that I belong in there with these top five guys with the best in the world. He's a guy that fought for the title twice, and I beat him better than anybody's ever beaten. Nobody's beat him like that or made him look like that. And I went in there and dominated the number five in the world, the guy that a lot of guys shy away from accepting that fight. Nobody wants that fight. He's a tough matchup. He's a weird style matchup. Guys have to bring in experts to fight a guy like him, and I did it with my team and my own crew. I didn't bring nobody in, and we took care of the business better than anybody else.
And yeah, did you think you felt a little extra pressure going into that fight more than any other one?
More so, not because of the just what because of what it meant. Because I knew that beating him would cement me in the top five, and it would cement me with my next fight being one step away from the title shot. I think. So that I just put more extra pressure on myself to have to go in there and dominate him. I was looking for a finish. But I knew I had to beat him dominantly to be known as a top contender, and I think I did that.
Yeah, no, nobody's dominated him like that 30-25 across all scoreboards in ever and in his whole entire career. I was reading comments under below the pictures after the fight, and people were like, "Oh, Bilal's juice, he's on steroids, all this stuff." How do you use that as motivations in your fight?
Honestly, like I was just like laughing at it because it was like this is the first time I did like a strength program. I like my last 3 or 4 camps, I haven't done any type of strength training. So then I was like, yeah, you know what? I like if I want to be with these top guys, like the top guys are like strong. So I'm like, I just got into a strength training program, and when you're fighting a guy like Wonderboy, you level up. Like training for Wonderboy leveled up my striking, it leveled up my wrestling because, like I said, I didn't want to go in there and get highlighted. I don't want to be on his highlight reel. So like I'm doing wrestling 5 times a week. I'm doing striking, light sparring every single day. Just to make me do that. Like I didn't really have to use any of my stand up that fight because the wrestling was working so well. So, but I still had to level up just because that's what he brings to the table. He makes you train that extra hard and work that extra hard. Like I said, I don't like to lift weights. I hate lifting weights, but I was like, you know what? You're fighting the top five guy in the world. It's gonna be a war. So all that extra stuff like lifting weights, eating healthier, having a nutritional plan, those are all little extra credit things that I add into my little bank account. Like all fighters, all of us train wrestling, all of us train striking, all of us train jiu-jitsu, but it's about like the little things. It's who's gonna run that extra mile, who's gonna do extra cardio, who's gonna go swimming, who's gonna lift weights. I think of that thing as all like little extra credit that when it comes to fighting night, you see who did that extra work. Like like we don't know who has a easier weight cut, who dieted the last second, or who dieted for 6 weeks straight of eating healthy, and then you could see it in the fight, and it plays out in the fight of who actually put the work in, and I put all the work into that fight.
Absolutely. And then that got you to that number five ranking that you have now. And I was saying this on Instagram before I posted it. I'm just like, Hazmat. and Belal should fight. I said this before the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight, and a lot of people were kind of, it's like, oh, I don't know, Belal's got to get through Stephen, and then you dominate him, and then you call out Khamzat after that. Why didn't you call him out before that, and why do you feel like this is the right time to call this man out?
Because it's one of those things where it's like I'm not getting any credit for the fights for the dominating that I'm doing in the cage. Like I dominated Damian Maia before Wonderboy. He took me down when he didn't take me down. I defended 23 takedowns against Damian Maia, a guy who's taken down a lot of these guys. He got knocked out before me by Gilbert Burns, but in that first round, he took down Gilbert Burns. He took Gilbert Burns back. He had Gilbert Burns in bad positioning. I was not in any bad positioning at all in that fight, in the Damian Maia fight. But Damian Maia is old, blah blah blah. Now I dominate Stephen Wonderboy. Well, Stephen Thompson. Well, all you did was wrestle him. No, I had over 270 ground and pound strikes on him. But it's like people are still hating on it. So I'm like, you know what? No matter what happens, they're gonna try to avoid giving me that title shot. They're gonna try to, if I go in there and I fight Leon Edwards and I beat him, they're gonna be like, well, everybody's always gonna say, well, Khamzat's still there. Khamzat could go out there, win one fight next, beat like a Neil Magny. They're gonna be like, well, Khamzat needs to fight Usman. That's the fight to make. That's the fight. Blah blah blah. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just skip over all of that. Let me just go directly to Khamzat. You think he's the next star? You think everybody's always in that fights to make in 2022? It's Khamzat against Usman. So I'm like, all right, let me just put a hold to all of that, finish him, and then I'm gonna skip the line and go straight to Kamaru.
Yeah, and now they're saying that the Gilbert Burns Khamzat Chimaev fight might happen. How do you feel about that? And would you be interested in fighting Gilbert Burns in case that does not happen?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when you get into the top five, I'm willing to. You know your next fight's gonna be tough. You know your next fight's gonna be with guys. I'm friendly with Gilbert Burns. I've trained with Gilbert Burns. I like Gilbert Burns, but like as we've seen with like him and Kamaru Usman, like they fought their boys. So it's like we're all going for the same goal. Like it doesn't have to be any hate or animosity toward us. So it's like I know what I'm willing to do and who I have to go through to get there. Because it's like it's gonna be I think it's either like Gilbert Burns, Khamzat, or Luque. And Luque, obviously, I want that rematch with him from before. And he's another guy that I actually trained with recently when I was in Vegas before I even got the Wonderboy fight. But we were in talks with Wonderboy. Me and Luque did some light sparring, and he's like, oh, he was giving me like Wonderboy looks because he's just a good guy. And like to me, I don't need to hate you to fight you, or after a fight, like you're gonna gain respect no matter what. And it's all about like just get into that goal. You're gonna have to fight guys that you respect and guys you hate to get to that goal, and that's what I plan on doing.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that up. You guys trained a little bit before that Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight. Does that make you want to fight him less, or you don't care? It doesn't matter because you want to do everything you can to get to that title shot against Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like we're all in the top five. Like Gilbert's 3, he's 4, Luque's 4, and then it's like really the only guys in that top 5 that I dislike and I would love to fight is like Colby Covington. Like I hate that guy. So like that would be one of those that it would be a fun lead up to because I'll do a lot of trash talking it'll motivate me more. Like with these other guys, it's still gonna motivate me, but it's like it's not gonna be one of those where we need to fake trash talk or anything like that. I think it's just all gonna be respect with anybody else that I fight, except for Khamzat. I think Khamzat would just be fun. Like even with the trash like I'm doing now, it's not like I need to do anything like that. I think it'll just be a good matchup, and it's fun when we're going back and forth. And I think it'll be huge to have like 2 Muslim fighters be a main event for a certain show or anything like that. I think that'll be huge in general.
Yeah, and people were talking about, oh, a Muslim's not going to call another Muslim out. Is there any truth behind that?
I mean, for me, it was like to that point where it's like, I'm not gonna call out another Muslim, but it's like he's one of those guys where you could just tell that he don't care who he steps over to get the title. Like he was calling out Khabib, and I'm like, you don't call out Khabib. You don't disrespect Khabib. He's the guy that literally like brought religion into the sport. We like Muslims, Islam, everything. Like the UFC changed their whole mindset of the way they do it just because of Khabib, and like the whole world understands the religion more based off of Khabib and like how he holds himself. And after every fight, he's saying Alhamdulillah, and it's like a guy like that who's he's changed so much for us, and he's brought so much respect to the religion and things like that, and people like know how he holds himself because he's Muslim. It's like you disrespect a guy like that. It's like, all right, well, anything goes with this guy. So like I don't really care about calling out him.
Yeah, and speaking of in the staying in the welterweight realms, of course, Colby Covington is a guy who just came off that loss against Usman. If you were to see Colby Covington, let's say at the UFC Apex, what would you say to him?
No, I like literally get in his face. I want to see how tough he is in person because he's one of those guys that has Twitter fingers. He does one. He waits for. He can't. He's not quick witted on his feet. He's the guy that he needs to write stuff down. He needs to have a writer write insults down for him to say things like a press conference or a thing like that. You could tell it's all scripted. And like you said, there's a million people. Oh, when you meet him in person, he's very nice, but like he says very ignorant and dumb things, and like he needs to pay for that thing. And really, like a fight, me and him really make a lot of sense. Like him and Masvidal, yeah, that'll sell. But like honestly, for Masvidal, I think Masvidal just needs a fight that he's gonna guarantee win. Like he can't take a chance of losing 3 in a row because that kills all of his hype and all of his draw. But if he goes out there and gets wrestled by Kobe, which I think will happen, I think he'll do the same game plan Kamaru did against him, holding his defense, take him down, and I think it'll just like kill the hype of him, kind of like what's happening with McGregor, where it's like, well, he's lost 3 of his last 4, and it's like fans are starting to like lose all that interest in him. So it's like I think that'll happen with Masvidal if he loses one more. But that's why I think Masvidal needs a guy like a Nick Diaz or a Nate Diaz, somebody that could go out there and easier matchup for him instead of a Kobe or a guy that's really trying to fight for the title.
Yeah, and do you think that the money and the starlight has gotten to Masvidal now, and maybe he's not as focused as he was when a lot of hype was surrounding him in that one year?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, once you get to that point where you're making that type of money, and a guy like Kim, where he's been in the sport for so long, yeah, I was a huge fan of him. You've seen him, you've seen how hard it is to come up in the sport, and all it takes is that one year to blow you up. And he got that off of fighting Ben Askren and Nate Diaz, and I'm happy for a guy like that. To see a guy like that, you're like, all right, well, he stayed the course. He didn't have to change. He didn't have to fake anything, and he got his pay. So it's like, obviously, when you get that, like you say, when you're sleeping in silk sheets, it's hard to get up. So obviously, he's not going to have that same hunger that he used to have. And when you lose the title shot twice, I think that killed you even more. Because like in the end, what's the goal? Like the goal is to be a champion. So if you just lost to the champion 2 times in a row, it's like, unless Kamaru retires or somebody beats him, it's like he's not gonna be really that motivated to get back in there. And especially if he's doing all this other stuff on the outside, has his own promotion, has like liquor and things like that he's selling. It's like there's a million things going on in your head. You're not thinking about hitting the gym twice a week or 3 times a week, 3 times a day.
Yeah, and well, you usually stay super active throughout the year. You fight 3 times a year, sometimes four. There's been times where Habib, Islam, they don't fight during like the Ramadan time period, but you do. How do you still how are you still able to diet, keep your energy during training during that time period?
Honestly, it's hard. It's not easy. It's one of those things where it's like my body just adjusts. My body like realizes it, and I think it just helps me mentally to stay stronger. And that's why I feel like I have the edge in a lot of these guys and mentality and heart because I do train there and I'm not eating or drinking during training. I'm training twice a day still, and I just have to push through it. And I afterward, it's like I have to be very smart at night after it's sunset, and I'm able to eat. I'm able to drink. I have to put the right things back in my body. Because if I do mess up one of these days, then like the next day I'll feel it at practice where I won't have the energy, or that's when injuries do come. But like I think I have it down to a good process now, how to do it and the ways to do it. But yeah, it's never easy doing a camp during that time, especially just because dieting and still doing the uh, fasting, it hurts yourself. So it's like those guys, they earned it. They had that when you got the big money draws and stuff like that. They earned that right to not have to fight during that time. But for me, I'm still hungry. I'm still trying to get to that title shot. I'm still trying to get to that belt. So like when the UFC calls, I'm never gonna say no.
So I got to bring it up. Bully's Bics that you put out every time before a fight. I give you shit when they're not good. I credit you when they're amazing, and usually they're pretty on point. But the biggest one you made was Julianna Pena against Amanda Nunes, of course, your teammate over there at the Chicago Fight Team. If they were to fight again, do you think the same thing happens in the second fight? And I had to bring this up as well. You were somebody who had Julianna Pena and Kayla Harrison on your show at one point. And now there's a little bit something brewing there right now. So do you even see Juliana going up to a 145 and the UFC bringing Kayla and they fight at that weight?
Yeah, it's funny because Kayla's such a good girl, a good person too. Like I met her, we're both with Ali, so like when you see her in person, you're like she's very cool. So it's like now that Julianna Pena, my girl, we're training together all the time, and I'm like, please don't fight each other, don't hate each other, because I'm cool with both of them. So I'm like, all right, but it's like that's what I love about Juliana. She's like not afraid to speak her mind, and like I said, when everybody would say that, oh, she's lying, when she'll say, oh, I'm gonna beat her, I'm gonna be the champion, I'm gonna beat Amanda Nunes, I'm gonna be the champion. Like they all think it's fake, but it's not fake. Like you see, that's what she is. Like she's not like a Kobe Covington or something where it's like an act. Like what she says, what she believes. And I said, like, belief in yourself is it means more than anything. Like you could train 25 times. I know guys that are the beast in the practice room, but when it gets to fight night, they don't have that confidence and they don't perform out there, and they can't transfer what happens in the training room to the cage because they just like mentality. It's a big thing, and like you see a lot of these guys like, oh, I need to speak to a therapist or sports psychologist because honestly, like the mentality is the toughest thing about the sport because you're sitting there thinking about this one opponent for 8 weeks, 6 weeks, and it gets to fight night, and you're like, man, I did all the work. What if I get knocked out? What if I get hurt? What if I slip? What if this person chokes me out? You're fighting the GOAT. You're fighting Amanda Nunes, who's killed everybody, and you have to watch video on her, and you're like, man, like, what's her weaknesses? She doesn't have no weaknesses, but like I said it, I was like, Juliana's one of those girls that's gonna stand right in front of you, and she's gonna take those punches and gonna throw it right back at you, and she's not gonna fold. A lot of these girls, they get in there with Amanda and they're afraid before the bell even rings. They're afraid, and then Juliana's not that type. Juliana's, you can tell she's straight from Chicago. She has that mentality, like, yeah, all right, let's go. We're gonna throw it out. If I have to go out on my shield, I'll go out on my shield, and that was one of those things that Amanda didn't feel. She didn't go against one of those girls that stood toe to toe with her, except for like Valentina, and those were her toughest fights. Like all them other girls, they all had a weakness to them. But Juliana, she's like that dog. She's gonna be in your face all day, and her strength is a wrestling, and it's not like she's like a Division 1 wrestler. She has that dirty wrestling where it's like instead of dirty boxing, she's gonna drag you down, she's gonna pull you down, she's gonna make you tired, and if you defend the takedown, she's gonna make you you're gonna be way more tired than you were before. She shot that shot. So like I knew that she was just stylistically a bad matchup for Amanda, and I think it's honestly the second fight will be the same way, just because Amanda cuts a lot of weight, and like I said, she has that power shot, she has wrestling, but like Juliana's not afraid to get taken down. She's not afraid to be on her back, and she doesn't lose confidence. She got taken down that first round against Amanda, and she's like, oh well, all right, well the second round I'm gonna stay right in her face again. And Amanda hit her with some hard shots. She still stood there and she threw right back at her. And I didn't think Amanda knew that it was gonna be like that.
Yeah, that's such an important win in her career and probably the biggest win, biggest upset, I guess, that people want to see. Maybe not upset to other people like you who trained with somebody like her because you knew that was going to happen. But what is so special about that Chicago fight team? What do you guys have that other camps maybe don't have?
Well, I train at two gyms. The gym that me and Juliana train at is Valley Full Striking.
Battlefield. Okay,
What we
yes.
have is like yeah, so we have like a very tight knit group of guys, and like the head coach is very smart with the way he trains. We don't do a lot of crazy things. We're not going in there trying to knock each other out. Like you see the moron Sean Strickland knocking his teammate out. Like we're a very close knit family. We're all trying to help each other. Even Juliana, I'm in there sparring with her a couple times for that camp, and it's like I'm not throwing hard at her, but I'm giving her just that look. And when you're going with high level people and they're all like everybody's goal in the gym is to make sure that you win your fight, it changes everything. Because like a lot of these big gyms, they're like, you'll go in the gym, you'll see all these big name guys there, but like if I got to fight and you got to fight, and I'm not worried about you winning your fight. It's like, well, everybody's selfish. Everybody has an ego. Like I'm not gonna let you beat me up. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna let Juliana Pena take me down. She's gonna stand on top of me, and ground upon me. No, like that's my teammate, that's my friend. I want her to win this fight. So like, yeah, take me down, hit me a couple shots in the ground, choke me out a little bit, so it helps you in your fight. And that's what I think that we have at Valley Flow.
That's awesome. And Bilal, of course, you're now on the UFC broadcast a couple times throughout the year. Did you ask them for that opportunity, or did they come up to you to ask you to be on that broadcast?
I mean, honestly, it was one of those things where like just having the right people that and just like John Anik, Paul Felder, they kept throwing my name out there for them, and doing the podcast. Just getting the reps in. Like John Anik would tell me, like, get your reps in, get your reps in. You never know who's gonna be watching. And then just one time he said he was at a show. He told the producer to watch the show with him, and they gave me a shot. And I was like, if I get this opportunity, I don't want to blow it. So I'm sitting there studying twice as much, making sure that I don't mess up. But honestly, I think it's starting to become more natural, and I'm starting to get easier with it, and it's starting to become a lot more fun. And I want it to be like a permanent thing where it's like, there's always a thing after fighting. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And it's like if I could be that Paul Felder or DC, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely. And of course, you're talking about the show, Remember the Show, which got, of course, best YouTube show at the Mystic Awards, of course. What was the thought process in creating that show? Because that's just something completely different. Bringing in two fighters, getting those questions in, having that game show going on with them. What was the thought process in creating that?
Well, I wanted to do something different. I wanted, everybody has a podcast, and a lot of the times, like, a lot of these guys are asking the same questions, and it's like, all right, well, I wanted to be different, especially being a fighter, with the podcast. Uh, bringing guys on, I wanted to have it like make it fun. Every fighter's competitive. Every fighter, no matter what it is in, like I want to win at everything. So if I have two fighters and we have a game show, and I know that it's like you start losing, you're going to start bringing out a different side of yourself. Or if there's trash talk, you're going to see a different side of yourself that a lot of these fighters don't show on Twitter or anything like that. But when you do see it, you're like, oh, this guy does got a personality. This guy is pretty funny. This guy talks trash. And I'm like, bro, you show it a little bit more, because, that's how you interact with fans. Fans see us fight, like you said, 3 times, 4 times a year. But like, what about the rest of those days? Like they see you that one fight week, and the next week there's another fight. So they're already forgetting about you. But if you're on there, you're on social media, you're talking with them, you're interacting with them, you show you have a personality, they're going to want to pay attention to what you're doing outside of fighting and things like that. And they're going to want to watch your shows, and just staying in the fans' eyes, I think, is like the key to my show, and just making it fun for fighters. And especially when you have guys that are actually want to make it competitive and they are going back and forth, or you have guys that just want to be, oh, well, I just want to get it over with, or like don't show any emotion on the show. Those are like the most boring shows. But guys that are having fun with it, and the shows are close, and they're laughing and talking trash. Those are the best shows for me.
Yeah, and Bilal, last two here, and thank you, of course, for the time today, man. I appreciate it big time. And I love that show, and I watch it every Thursday. One day I'll be on there answering some questions against another maybe media member or fighter. I don't care. I'll beat them. I'll take them down. But what to you do you feel is the most important part of being a Palestinian in the UFC? Because it's not a bunch of them, not a million of them.
Yeah, honestly, it's like, I know that I have a bigger cause to represent. I know I got to represent a small amount of people, and I just got to hold myself to higher standards. And I know that there's younger kids that are watching me, Muslim kids that are watching me, and Palestinian kids that are like paying attention to what I do, and they see that and they're proud of it, and they're like, they think they could be at that level too. They want to be at that level. And it's like most of the time, a lot of the time, all my family friends, they're all like working stores, electronic stores, grocery stores, things like that. And a lot of like when you go to school, we go to school and we're like, we don't really need to go to college. You're either this or that. I'll go to work. It's easier. My dad owns a store. My cousin owns a store. But like showing that we could be athletes. We don't need to be 6'6", freaking born with just unnatural ability. Like if we just put the hard work in, anything's possible. If you just put that drive in and that self-belief in yourself, you could be whatever you want. And no matter what, people are hating on you, telling you that you're never going to do it, or you can't do it, or it's not going to work. If you just believe in yourself and you keep pushing yourself and you keep telling yourself, like, I'm on the right track, I'm on the right track, I'm on the right track, it's going to end up working out for you.
Love that, Bilal. Love that. And by the end of this year, December 2022, it's December 31st. You look back on the year. What do you want to accomplish this year? What is the main goal of this year?
The main goal this year is to be the UFC champion, and I think I will be UFC champion by the end of this year. I think I'm one more win away from fighting for the belt, and I think that matchup wise, stylistic wise, I match up well with Kamaru or whoever's going to be champion at that time. I just think I have that style to fight any of these guys, and I think I showed it all in 2021, where I had to fight differently every single time. I fought Lyman good moving backwards. I fought Lima moving forward. I fought Maya with takedown defense. I fought Wonderboy with takedown offense. So it's like I could do whatever. I could adapt to any fighter. I could adapt to any style. And just to end the year off with a stamp like that, beating a guy like Wonderboy better than anybody's ever beaten him, I think it just showed that I'm a real contender.
Absolutely. And last year, breakout fighter of the year. This year, male fighter of the year. Would love to see it, Bilal. Hopefully you get that title shot. Hopefully you get that big fight that you want. I appreciate you for coming on. Anything else you want to say to the fans out there watching?
Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for substituting in for me my fight week. Remember
Absolutely.
the show. We're back on this Thursday. You got to get Black Beast answer my DMs. Don't worry, Beast. I'm getting your phone number. I'm just gonna keep calling you. Don't worry.
He's gonna get that phone number. Belal, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Thank you, bro. Peace out, my brother.